New alarming moves in the escalating standoff between the U.S., Russia, and Ukraine. More than 8,000 American troops remain on high alert amid growing fears of a Russian invasion. We know President Biden spoke with European leaders, though, about possible diplomatic solutions. So Laura Podesta is here, joining us with the very latest developments. It looks like there's two tracks, Laura. There's the diplomatic solution, but getting ready for the possibility of an invasion.
That's right, Anne-Marie. And the Pentagon's preparation is in tandem with other NATO countries like France, which has already sent troops to Romania, which borders Ukraine. It is notable, though, that NATO has not yet made the decision to activate its response force, which consists of thousands of troops from multiple countries.
The U.S. and its NATO allies are showing a united front in the face of Russian hostility toward Ukraine.
I had a very good meeting. Total unanimity with all the European leaders.
President Biden later tweeted that in an 80-minute video call, they discussed efforts to deter further Russian aggression, like preparations to impose severe economic costs on Russia and to reinforce security on the eastern flank.
It will be swift, it will be severe. In the event of an incursion, it will be unprecedented.
Today, 8,500 U.S. troops are on alert, ready to deploy to Eastern Europe within 5 days if the situation deteriorates.
We are not deploying them now. We are not saying diplomacy is dead.
The French, Dutch, and Danes have already sent jets and troops.
We will always do what is necessary to protect and defend all our allies.
Russia denounced the move and denies it has any plans to invade Ukraine. But the former Soviet superpower has nearly 130,000 troops along the border. Russia wants assurances that Ukraine will never be a member of NATO, something Mr. Biden addressed last week.
The likelihood that Ukraine is going to join NATO in the near term is not very likely.
Russian President Vladimir Putin also wants a promise that NATO won't put strategic weapons in Ukraine.
Now, one potential deterrent to war, although it's temporary, is the Beijing Winter Olympics, Anne-Marie, which start next week. Experts say that Putin would not want to take attention away from his ally, as the Olympics would be China's moment to shine on the world stage. However, we should note that Russia did attack Georgia shortly before the Summer Olympics in China in 2008.
Laura, let's go back to these, more than 8,000 U.S. troops on standby here. Do we have any indication when they would be sent to Eastern Europe, whether it's a timeline or, they're waiting to see if Russia does anything?
Yes, it comes down to the outcome of one, additional diplomatic talks. If they fail and if Russia attacks Ukraine, we will very quickly see the movement of those 8,500 U.S. troops to Eastern Europe and to the Baltics. Now, it's also possible that we'll see the dispatch of 40,000 troops, the NATO response force, which is comprised of soldiers from all NATO nations.
Now, so far we've been talking about the conversations between Russia and the U.S., but what about the U.S. and Ukraine? What additional aid is the U.S. offering Ukraine? How are they getting that aid there?
The aid that the U.S. is providing Ukraine is three-pronged. It's one, you have funding. You have $600 million that the U.S. has pledged to Ukraine in recent months. Two, you have the military equipment. The U.S. has authorized NATO countries to transfer weapons to Ukraine, and those weapons were originally made in the U.S. And three, like you mentioned, you have this diplomatic aid. When the commander-in-chief of the United States, the most powerful country in the world, is coming out in strong support of Ukraine and the Ukrainian people, that's some big influence that weighs heavily on the decisions of the other member nations of NATO on how they should vote in order to react to this Russian aggression. And Putin, when considering his next moves, is also going to be factoring in this support carefully as well, because Putin knows an attack on Ukraine will likely mean substantial economic and geopolitical repercussions for Russia.
Yeah, there are risks for Russia as well. Laura Podesta, thank you very much.
Thanks.